100 years of broadcasting from WSB in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Kirk Harnack. I'm at the transmitter site of WSB, 750 kilohertz, 50,000 watts. We got interviews with everybody associated with the party here at WSB, a lot of engineers, and the chief engineer, Charles Kinney. It's all coming up next on TWiRT.
This Week in Radio Tech is brought to you by Broadcasters General Store, with outstanding service, savings, and support. Online at bgs.cc. By Broadcast Bionics, with the Bionics Studio, including talk show control, social media, and visual radio. Broadcast Bionics brings exceptional audience engagement to radio and TV. By Angry Audio. Audio problems disappear when you get angry at angryaudio.com. By Nautel, worry-free transmission you can count on with outstanding control, reliability, efficiencies, and Nautel's unmatched 24/7 customer support. Online at nautel.com. And by Max Connect Wireless, prioritized high-speed internet service designed for transmitter sites and remote broadcasts.
Hey, welcome into This Week in Radio Tech. We're live at the WSB transmitter site. This is the show where we talk about everything from the microphone to the light bulb at the top of the tower. And in this case, we've got a 50,000 watt transmitter in between the mic. Well, okay, it's not on this mic. It's not really on this mic. We're here to celebrate something really special. We're going to find out what that is in a few minutes. And hopefully we'll have some documentation about exactly what that is. I've got a whole bevy of guests going to join me during the hour here. And I want to bring in the first guy here. This is Josh Bone. Hey, Josh, how you doing?
Hi, Kirk. Good to see you.
You know, I just got a call from Jim Ragsdale. He's the executive director over there at the Society of Broadcast Engineers.
Yeah.
And he wanted to make sure that we would have access to a Max Connect at the SBE's national meeting at the NAB show.
I will make sure that you have one for sure.
Well, I've got two of them that, not only do I use them for props, they actually do work.
Yeah, we try to make sure that we keep them all working. So yeah.
So, hey, let's walk up a little closer to the camera here so folks can see both of us a bit better. So, Josh, you're here for the same thing I am, which is what?
WSB's 100th birthday.
And it's actually today.
It is actually today. Yes, Charles posted the original telegram authorizing their operation on Facebook this morning.
I reposted it on my feed, and I leveraged it as a promotion for this broadcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
By the way, if I haven't said it yet, welcome into This Week in Radio Tech. I think I did say that.
I think so. Yes.
We're doing it today on Tuesday. We'll replay it on the usual time on Thursday. And we're going to have some special guests here. Charlie Wooten is here. Got a couple other RF engineer gentlemen. Anybody who's anybody looks like they're here.
It sure does. This is a much bigger crowd than I anticipated, and it looks like there's still people coming up the ramp. So,
and I think at the last minute, Charles Kinney felt guilty about having not invited me, so he punched out an invitation to me too.
I didn't get invited till Thursday, so don't feel bad.
Well, that's what I got. Yeah. Okay. We're in the last minute club.
I guess so. I was told that I was invited. I said, well, nobody told me.
We should start a club.
We should.
The
last one's in.
Or the Afterthought Club.
The Afterthought Club.
Yeah.
Like that.
The Afterthought Club. Hey, we're going to do an ad. Tell you what, let's just do it right now since you're right here.
Okay.
We'll do an ad for Max Connect Wireless. And so hang on through the ad because we got Charlie Wooten coming up here.
Heard a lot about this. This is a great service.
People say nice things about it.
They're all lies.
Mass Connect is one of our sponsors here. When we're on the road and we don't have an internet connection, by the way, thanks WSB and Scott Trask for hooking me up with internet. Actually, I just yanked it out of the back of a PC.
Uh-oh.
No telling where it's going.
Cox IT people are coming after you.
Yeah. Okay. What is Max Connect?
Max Connect is prioritized wireless LTE built for broadcast.
Yep.
We've been doing it now for almost 5 years. Public static IP, no port restrictions, very flexible plans, great support. And, we try to take care of everybody from transmitter site access to remote broadcasts. You want to go and broadcast live from a concert, but your connection keeps dying. This can help you significantly.
Yeah. We've used it at NAB when I thought I had a great connection on my T-Mobile, and I was getting good speed readouts. But when it came to actually put video across it, we were getting a lot of dropouts. On my Max Connect, I was getting a reasonable speed readout. It was very reliable, but I didn't notice any packet drop at all. We had a great video.
That's what a lot of people say. I have people tell me all the time, oh, yeah, I can get 200 megabits on my phone. Absolutely, you can for about 8 seconds. And then, consumer level LTE is very bursty. It'll give you a lot of data to download a web page, and then it moves on to a different connection. Ours is very consistent. Our speeds aren't necessarily going to be the fastest out there, but it's very consistent, which is what you need for audio or video streaming.
Right, right. And I'm pretty well convinced, I've heard this for years, that many of the ISPs, when they see that you're going to the website speedtest.net, they just open the floodgates right then.
Oh, absolutely. That you will get the optimum reading when you are testing your speed on any of those sites.
There are other sites you can go to test that may or may not be part of their floodgate opening and maybe get a more accurate picture of what's going on. But this, you get, I won't say no packet drop because nothing is capable of 100%. But the whole idea is we're not going to throttle your packets anywhere.
Right. And that's the thing. We never touch your data throttling. Now, I can't guarantee that your speeds are always going to be super consistent as far as speed goes, because it's all based on a dynamic bandwidth allocation that the carriers use. We're still at the mercy of the carriers. But overall, our service does outperform your standard go to the AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile store, get a MiFi or a Jetpack, and take it out and try it. We do outperform that routinely.
The last thing I'll say is that the static IP address that you get means that you can put a firewall rule at home saying only let this IP address in, and an IP address cannot be spoofed. It's got to be a TCP connection.
Correct.
Can't be spoofed, and you can be assured that if this thing's knocking on your firewall door, it really is this thing at your transmitter site or at the parade or at the ball game knocking on your door to get to your codec or whatever.
Right. Absolutely. So
Okay.
yeah, great for security.
So what's going on outside?
I don't know. I haven't been out there. I'm
Oh.
talking to you.
There's some barbecue. There's some celebratory beverages.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, good.
I will partake in some barbecue.
Maybe somebody will bring me something. Well, I've scared everybody off but Charlie, so that's a good sign.
Uh-oh.
Josh Boner,
Thank you, sir.
good talking to you, man.
All right.
Take care. Hey, it's Kirk Harnack live at the WSB transmitter site in Atlanta, Georgia. Come on in, Charlie. Oh, come on, bring that. Good to see you. Can lean on me. Lean on me when you're not strong. Good to see you, man.
You don't sing very well.
I know it.
Okay.
That's I depend on the other basses in the choir to cover me up.
I understand. Yeah, me too.
Do you sing?
No.
No?
No.
But you do call sign.
I do call signs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you call CQ.
CQ.
That's a form of singing.
Yeah.
How are you? It's good to
Pretty
see
good. Good to see you,
How
man.
far a drive is it up here for you from
About
the
5 hours.
That far?
Yeah.
What? You know, it's 4 hours from me from Nashville.
Oh, that's not. Well, you got all interstate. I don't have all interstate.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh, it was 2 lane. I've been on your 2-lane roads.
Yeah. Well, they're not 2-lane, but they're 4-lane. But you got to go through a lot of towns, and that slows you down.
So tell me about WSB. Why we're here today?
You want to reveal that now?
Well, we've already.
Oh, you already
we
revealed it.
mentioned
Oh,
it. We
okay. I
mentioned
heard
it.
you say earlier you were.
Well, I kept it a secret for 12 and a half seconds.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's the best I can do.
Oh, it's a big deal. Have you seen the telegram? The actual telegram?
I saw it on Facebook,
Yeah.
but I didn't see the actual.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a copy of it here?
I don't know if there's an actual copy of it here, but I swear I've seen it. It's, of course, it's on Facebook. Yeah.
I saw Charles Kinney's posting, and I purloined the picture for my own purposes promoting today's show.
Oh yeah. That's a great thing to have.
So it really was March 15th, 1922, and I noticed that they were allocated. They were told they could broadcast on some frequency and so many meter band.
Yeah. I forget what it is, but it wasn't 750 at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, because back then for some reason they talked about it in meters rather than kilocycles, as they used to
Sure.
say. Yeah.
They also the authorization that I saw, the telegram, restricted the kind of information that they could broadcast.
That's interesting. I didn't.
Yeah.
That's right. I didn't.
They could give weather reports, but they couldn't give. I think it was some kind of financial, like maybe the hog market. You know,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
couldn't-
Pork
they had-
bellies. Got it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They had to get permission from some government agency to do that.
Yeah. That's I guess it was a whole different thing. Everything was live too. You got to think about that. There was no recordings. I don't even think they had ETs then. I think it was just or EPs. They just had strictly whatever was standing in front of the microphone.
Back around that era, on some stations I read about, if they had a Victrola, they'd put it on the floor for
Okay.
stability. They'd crank it up, play the record, and hang the microphone. Set the mic
That sounded
in front
good.
of the But hey, it was entertainment. to
Sound
you.
like it coming through a toilet paper
Exactly.
tube. Yeah.
But you couldn't get that entertainment unless
True.
you could afford a Victrola.
True.
In any other way.
Yeah.
Now we're at a transmitter site, and Charles Kinney hopefully will be here and
Yeah,
give
he's
us
to
more
be here
info.
about 1:00. They said.
Okay, well, it's 1:00 now.
Okay. Should be here.
But they didn't start here at this site.
No.
And the shopping center wasn't here either.
No, they were here, and then the shopping center was here.
Yeah. But the transmitter was somewhere else.
I think it was on top of a hotel.
Probably so.
I think that's, I may be speaking out of line there, but I believe it was on top of a hotel with a long wire.
I wonder how long they've been right here. We'll find out from Charles.
Yeah, Charles will know all of that.
Now, Charles's dad had something to do with the sensation.
With the WSB?
Yeah.
No, he was the morning guy and the combo engineer in Panama City.
Oh.
At one of the stations that iHeart owns there now. Yeah.
Now, here's something that struck me as it made me realize how old I am, and you're almost as old as I am.
I think I'm older than you.
And that is that the station's been on the air as of today 100 years.
100 years.
And the day I was born, the station had been on the air for 40 years. That mean, because I'm 60, I just turned 60.
Well,
So
I'm 72.
well, good gosh. So you've been alive for 72% of this station's history.
Yeah.
You're almost as old as radio.
That's right.
And I almost am too.
Almost, but you got a lot of catching up to do.
But that scared the.
You need another 12 years.
But think, I've been on the air 60% of the years of this radio station.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Man. So what I noticed that I don't know where AM radio is headed. I noticed that WSB is promoting a lot of emphasis on their FM version of this station, less emphasis on the AM version. And I, here we're at a happy time here, but I can't see AM being around in another 100 years.
Well, they're doing some stuff up in Maryland with a digital thing. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. I haven't heard any reports on that, but I know
we've had Dave Colasar on the show, and he reports good things. The coverage area is a little bit bigger than the analog coverage.
It sounds better.
Oh, it sounds. I mean, it sounds as good as a lot of internet streams.
The main enemy of AM radio is noise.
Yeah,
and there's more and more noise. We put LED fluorescent strips at our hunting camp, and when you pull up there and you turn on the AM radio within 150 feet of that building, you can't hear anything.
Well, now, but that's just like here. I pull up here and I can't hear anything but this station.
Yeah, your front end's getting overloaded.
So also, I see, as long as we're on, got you right here, there's a ham radio tent outside. What's going on there?
Apparently, the local club has W5B.
Okay.
Because they couldn't, it almost looked like WSB, but they've got a special events call sign that FCC allows stations to apply for, or groups to apply for and use, and they've got W5B on the air.
Wow.
From the tent out there.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Hey, Charlie Wooten, you're in Panama City, Florida.
That's correct.
iHeart regional engineer, right?
Well, yeah, I have Tallahassee and Panama City now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I appreciate you spending time with us. When you run out there, would you tap Gary Klein or Bob Hellbush or somebody and say, "Hey,
bring him in here."
Gary's not too scared.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Charlie Wooten from Panama City, Florida. Hey, it's Kirk Harnack. We're here at the WSB transmitter site. We got a quick word from Nautel about their Transmission Talk Tuesday, every Tuesday. Here's a little snippet of what has gone on before.
The scope I use all the time for AMs specifically, more than I do anything else.
Right.
But the scope I'm finding myself using more and more in the digital realm, tracking status IOs off of remote controls that are not functioning properly. It's like some things that you can't get out, like in an open collector system where it's like, oh, is it closed or I don't know, the transistor's holding it, So I'm finding myself using a digital scope more and more to do more of the data logging than I am anything else.
Nautel.com/webinars is the website for Transmission Talk Tuesday, but it's not a webinar. It's a roundtable discussion, and that means you get to participate if you want to. Here's a friend of mine who always is full of questions. See how I substitute the word questions for other things?
What's our topic today?
What's our topic? You're a funny man.
Otherwise, I don't know what I'm asking.
Well, we're here at the WSB transmitter site.
We are. I just got
okay.
I just walked in.
Michael, come on in, buddy. Come on in. Michael Gay's here. Gary Klein's here.
Are we live?
We're live. We're doing TWiRT right now.
Oh, you are?
Instead of Thursdays, yeah. They didn't tell you out there?
TWiRT time.
No, it's not, but it is today. We're going to replay it at the regular time. So, you can tell your friends. I saw your beloved here. She's here.
There are people here, yeah.
No,
I mean, yeah, friends and beloveds, yeah, they're all here.
Your lady friend.
Yeah, they're all
Isn't she here?
Somewhere.
Okay, all right.
Where?
Well, so WSB 750 AM. we're at the 50 kilowatt transmitter site right here. In fact, I had originally set up a microphone and a long cable into my USB interface. Yeah, we were hearing a lot of WSB. I was going to ask Scott Trask if he would turn the station down so I could do my show.
Or it could have just been a good grounding, teaching class.
Could have been a grounding.
Good grounding class. Okay, let's figure this out.
Well, nothing's grounded here except maybe through the AC power.
Maybe.
And that probably doesn't even take care of the USB properly.
I wonder how all the stores and shops in the shopping mall out there.
So yeah, let's tell folks about, we're at the transmitter site. This building was built in the 80s, I believe, sometime in the 1980s. There's a tower outside here. It's 600 plus feet tall, I believe. Hey, there's Dave Kirsten. Come on in, Dave, from Broadcasters General Store. So would you go measure the tower? We're trying to figure out how tall it is.
Yeah, let me get a rope and I'll just climb up real quick. It shouldn't take long.
Yeah.
So if I'm not back before you're done, just
Take Gary's Rolex and drop it off and measure how long it takes to fall.
You need some B-roll and show everybody what it looks like here. Get some B-roll and edit it in.
You're right.
So they know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
For the replay, though, you can fix it in post. For the West Coast, Central Time, Mountain Time replay.
Somebody could Google that and see how tall the tower is. But there's a tower right outside. And then there's this building with 2 transmitters in it, main and backup. And there's a whole basement where I think they used to, I don't know, make transmitters or something. But we're surrounded by a shopping mall. And so there's dentist offices and there's restaurants. There's probably phone stores where they sell phones. And I don't know how they keep the RF out of stuff. And back in the 80s, they had wired intercoms and wired phones and wired PA systems. But when they built the shopping center, I'm told that they used a lot of copper.
Asphalt over all this copper. So for people that are thinking, I can't put an AM transmitter site and build around it, that's not entirely correct.
Well, I understand that at WLW, just north of Cincinnati, they've sold a lot of the land, or they're using it for other use.
But there was an entire grounding plan designed to help ground, not only ensure the ground system for WLW remained intact, but to ground any of the commercial buildings that were going to be built around it. There was a plan for that because they had the luxury of knowing that was going to happen and taking that into account in advance.
Now, does that imply that the shops around here or the shops around WLW will essentially be Faraday cages? Can they pick up other things?
I don't know. I don't know what came in what sequence here, so I don't know about here. But I'm sure somebody from WSB does.
Yeah.
And we're surrounded by WSB engineers, right?
Right.
They're out there.
Right.
You need to grab them.
We'll get some. Yeah, we're waiting for Charles Kitty to arrive. Scott, in fact, maybe when you slip out, maybe you can grab Scott. Michael Gay is here from Cumulus. Hi, Michael.
Hey,
How are you?
good. When Kirk and Gary are in the same room together, it's hard to get a word in edgewise. So I was just sitting here minding my own business, and I'm known for lurking in the background.
Did you bring your better half along?
No, she couldn't make it today.
So who's handling? Are you guys still doing the third party, the accessory business?
Yeah. Teresa owns Not About Yet and is doing well, and things are great.
You work at Cumulus, and your office is right here in the Atlanta area?
Yes, yeah. So I work out of our corporate office in Atlanta.
We brought that for you, Gary.
Why is that on the show?
I don't know. Here,
There's a lot of that going on.
Look, here's the commemorative WSB coffee mug, 1922 to 2022, and it's sponsored by Gates Air. We're gonna. Who's here from Gates Air?
Mark is here, and I heard Paul is here.
Oh yeah, Paul Barzizza and Mark Goins are both here. Okay, we'll see if we can get them in here to say hi too. So real quick, you guys sent me a Not About Yet device. It was a ring that lights up for your microphone. I think I still have it at the house. I really should. I mean, I hooked it up on the air and showed it off, but I need to hook it up permanently. Tell me about the company real quick.
So we started making devices that just help engineers install things. And Dave Kirsten is like, hey, let's manufacture this. Of course, I have a day job, so it's hard for me to do that. So the wife basically took it over, and she runs the business and controls manufacturing and sales and marketing and finances. And I just design things and give to her, and she's like, how many can you sell?
Cool.
So yeah.
What are some of the devices that you guys make? How will this help me building a studio?
So if you're running any Mica arms, you can get our devices help plug and play directly from any Axia or Wheatstone or any device that could support generic GPIO to actually power and control those Mica arm on-air lights.
Those Mica arms, don't they have like a 5-pin XLR coming out of them?
Typically, they come bare wire.
Oh, bare wire. Okay.
So that's a nice thing is one of the interfaces that Not About Yet makes. You don't have to put a 5-pin connector on it. You can just run the bare wires right into the screw terminals, and there's a feed through for the mic audio to go into your favorite mic processor.
Okay.
So, so there's that. A lot of people like the LITS, which is the signal tower from Yellowtech.
Oh, okay.
So for signaling on phones, on air, doors, things like that. So she makes an interface for those that.
So you don't make the light tower; you make the interface that lets you hook it up easily to GPOs.
Right, because they kind of have a special requirement for their power and signaling. So this device actually again connects it right to any generic GPIO, and it also powers the light. And then the newest product is the Howler Monkey, which is a headphone amp. Howler Monkey because it's one of the 10 loudest animals on Earth. So what we're finding is myself in designing projects, we were finding that a lot of the modern headphone amps weren't supporting these low impedance headphones, and they were distorting because the amps didn't have the slew rate, they didn't have the current to support it. So spent hours and hours, maybe too many hours, testing different things until we finally came up with a design that can really drive those low impedance headphones. And so far, it's been a hit.
Wow. Okay, so that's do you make 3 products or more than?
There's more. Just go to the website.
What's
notaboutYet.com.
Not a bot yet.
Just like it sounds. NotaboutYet.com.
All right, we'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure she would appreciate that.
So, what do you know about this transmitter site where we're at right now? You know much about this?
Yeah, obviously we've talked about it. It's in the middle of a strip mall, which is interesting. I heard one of the guys talking about how he had a friend growing up who used to play football in what used to be a field next to it. So I don't think it was always a strip mall when it was here. So just kind of that typical thing, as many of us who have AMs, where the urban sprawl ends up catching up with the AMs that were normally way out in the middle of a field. So it's a pretty amazing site. Obviously, working for the competition, we know these guys. We're good friends. We're glad to be here and support their 100th anniversary. It's a huge accomplishment. Cumulus, we have one coming up ourselves in Fresno, one of our stations. So it's a really cool thing to have 100 years, and it just shows how radio is still timely, still important. People still value it. To be around 100 years, very few technologies can preach that or tout that statistic.
So we'll do an age check here. For what percentage of WSB's history have you been alive?
We're going to say just over 50%.
Just over 50%. Okay. Well, I'm at 60%. The day I was born, this station's been on the air for 40 years, and now it's been 100 years, and that makes me feel pretty old.
Yeah, but it's still amazing for something to have that longevity. And I'm a big supporter of radio, and I think radio has that longevity, and it's evolved over the years. I mean, there's so many things that are different, things that are always better, things that are always worse. That's just life. The one thing that's always the same is change.
You mentioned Fresno station, yeah? Right. That's a part of Cumulus.
Yes.
I would imagine there are quite a few radio stations in the U.S. that are turning 100 years old this year, next year, the next year. A lot of stations got started in the early 20s.
Right. That was the heyday of radio and being able to hit a large portion of the country with audio, which was the medium of the time. It changed the world.
Wow. I'd be very thankful if you'd go grab one of these guys out here and
I'll
send them this way.
Find a lucky
Okay. Right, thanks a lot. Michael Gay with Cumulus. Appreciate it very much. Michael's one of he does all kinds of things. He designs studios. He goes around the country and installs studios for Cumulus. And some of the big market stations that Michael has done, just gorgeous studios, absolutely beautiful. And if some people, sometimes in the radio business, we get a little bit thinking that, well, we're not doing as well as we used to. And yet, I'm telling you, some of the content creators are out there They may be few and far between, or they may be thick as thieves, depending on how you look at it. But there are plenty of studios getting built that are really gorgeous. So appreciate Michael Gay being here. All right, we are WSB's transmitter site in Atlanta, Georgia. Technically, we're in the little area called Tucker, Georgia. It's a suburb of Atlanta. We're over on the east side of Atlanta. And if you want to go look it up, you can probably Google, the WSB transmitter site. It's 750 AM, 750 kilohertz, and it's 50,000 watts day and night. As soon as Charles Kinney, there's Scott Trask. If I can catch his attention, there's Scott Trask. Scott is an engineer here along with Charles Kinney. And tell you what, we'll be right back in just a second. Let's see about this word from Broadcast Bionics and Camera One.
Camera One from Broadcast Bionics. Designed to bring video to your audio content. Visualizing radio and podcasts for social media. Camera One can automatically create, capture and brand professionally switched video for live streaming or upload, making your production shareable. Control and configure using a web browser on any device. Camera One is available as a 4-camera or 8-camera system using the Blackmagic A10 Mini range, including the A10 Mini Extreme. You can use cameras to suit your studio and your budget. You'll need 1 camera for a studio wide shot and usually 1 camera per microphone. A standard multi-channel sound card or IP driver monitors audio from each studio microphone, and we work natively with Axia systems. Ideally, this will be a post-fader feed from each mic, although you can use pre-fade audio or a mic split if that's all you have available. These audio levels are used to intelligently switch the video feed when each contributor is talking. You can also group microphones together into one shot and use the audio from a mixer's aux bus. You can use Camera One's auto switch feature, or disable it and switch using the on-screen buttons or the buttons on the A10. Recordings can automatically start when you tell the system you're on the air. This on-air indication can be linked to your studio's red lights via IP or an Avantec Adam GPIO interface. You can quickly browse all the videos that have been automatically created during your broadcast, download them and post. Camera One is a user-installable system. You'll need a good spec Windows 10 PC, i7 with plenty of storage and 16 gig of RAM. It's better if this machine isn't used for anything else. Remember, you can control the software in a web browser on another device on your network. Camera One, a thrifty way of creating scroll-stopping video from your show or podcast from Broadcast Bionics.
Wow, where is technology taking us? Camera One from Broadcast Bionics is some cool stuff. And yeah, that wasn't around, neither was the internet 100 years ago when WSB went on the air, but it's around now. And people are expecting different things from broadcasters and content creators. One of those things, love to be able to see what's going on, see who's doing the talking, see who is creating the content or espousing opinions they like or don't like, or entertaining them in one way or another. So check it out from Camera One. If you go to bionic.radio on the web, just bionic.radio will get you there, and you can see and read all about the Camera One system. All right, I've noticed we have here Mark Goins. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Mark, where do you live?
I live in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Mason, Ohio.
Okay, good deal. And Paul, where are you?
Cincinnati as well.
Oh, you are? All righty. Last time we had a drink together, it was in Memphis.
Memphis, Tennessee. Back in the old stomping grounds.
All right, tell me about this commemorative mug here. What's going on?
So, in honor of WSB's 100-year anniversary, we were happy to co-sponsor because
It is our 100th anniversary as well.
100-year anniversary as well.
No kidding.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So 100 years in 1922 to 22, and same as WSB. So when Charles said, "Hey, we're going to throw a birthday party out at the site," I said, "Well, let's make it a dual birthday party."
That's awesome. What a great idea.
Yeah, so a lot of fun.
Wow. Do we have any engineers here who are 100 years old yet?
I think you can find one or two.
I think there's a few getting close.
All right. So now, wouldn't it be cool if WSB was like one of the kickoff customers of the original Gates Radio Company?
Oh, that would
I don't know that.
I don't think that it did. I think that they were originally an RCA.
A lot of folks made their own transmitters
back then.
Sure.
You know who had a 100-year
birthday just 2 weeks ago was WLW in Cincinnati.
I didn't know that. Okay, I figured they're about the same age.
And as you know, that was a homespun Crosley rig.
Yeah.
So
I wonder about my own hometown, WSM. I need to find out when their 100 years is.
I don't know when theirs was.
Paul used to work there.
No,
Oh,
he
no,
said
no, no,
WSM.
sorry. Yeah.
I was at WMC, just just down the road.
Sorry.
Yep. So many stations got started in the early 1920s.
A lot of 50 kilowatts.
So I've told this on the air here a couple times, but I've noticed that this is the 100-year anniversary of WSB. The day I was born, the station was 40 years old.
Oh, really?
I've been around for 60 years of WSB, which, I think of radio starting as way before I was ever born. And yeah, it was one generation.
Right.
But I've been around almost 2 generations of radio.
Yeah.
So I guess that implies radio's been around for about 3 generations.
Right. Right. And just to think, Parker Gates was the one that started it all for us.
Is that
Yeah,
who started?
Parker
Sure.
Gates. Yeah. Yep.
Gates
then we
Radio
were,
Company in Quincy was Parker Gates.
What were some of the first things that Parker designed and built and offered for sale? You know what first products were?
I can tell you, if you've got a moment, I'm
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to tell you a really neat story,
Please do.
how something has come full circle.
Come on in, stand next to
So back when I was just a kid and I was working for a couple of stations in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
I'm so sorry. I've been to Jones.
They needed to, it was KBTM, Beard's Temple of Music.
Okay.
They needed to replace an old Gates BC1G transmitter. So I bought an SX1 for the station, and we're going to put that in. And in cleaning the building out, in the way back corner of the building, there was this Frankenstein-looking black transmitter with screen doors on it and said Gates 250A on it. And so I opened the front doors of this transmitter. There's a sheet of paper laying there in the tube cavity. And I pull it out. I look at it, and it's a typewriter written letter with a hand signature on it that says, on January 18th, 1932, I will be in Jonesboro, Arkansas, to install personally your Gates 250A transmitter. Sincerely yours, Parker Gates.
Oh my goodness!
So I called the owner of the station. And I said I'd like to donate this transmitter back to Ben Harris. And Harris drove down the next day, got it. They completely refurbished and restored the transmitter and took it to NAB that year and showed it at the NAB. Now it's in the lobby of our building in Quincy, Illinois. And I now, doing the job that I have now as the sales manager for the Southeast, I have a customer in Arkansas, man by the name of Bobby Caldwell, who owns East Arkansas Broadcasters. He now owns KBTM.
Okay.
And I surprised him by saying that 250A is going to go back home. And so we are going to donate the 250A back to Bobby, and it will be in Jonesboro in the lobby of his office building. Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah. Kind of a neat story.
And so that transmitter was from 1932.
It was actually, he was installing it, I believe in 32. I believe the transmitter was actually manufactured in 28.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. What a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, kind of fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Neat.
So, and thank you for sponsoring this. I noticed that in addition to, Tim, there's a bottle over there.
Can you grab that?
It's a prop, I assure you. It's a prop. This is for those occasions when you're okay. So Gates Radio Company, always been famous for great troubleshooting over the phone advice.
Oh,
I have gotten so much education from engineers at ITC, at Gates Air. And of course, it was Harris for quite a while. But when you don't have those people available to you, here's your liquid right here.
It takes the pain away.
Well, with this proof, you could actually clean components in the transmitter as well.
Well, Mark, thank you for showing up here too.
Thanks for having us, Kurt. Yep,
Appreciate it.
We'll be having some 100-year stuff hit the trades and everything, and then we'll be doing some stuff at NAB as well.
Good deal. And so I'll see you at NAB.
Yep, we'll be at NAB.
You too?
Thanks,
Yep.
Kurt.
Okay.
We'll be there.
Good deal.
Thanks.
Gentlemen, thank you. Tim
Good to
Meeks,
see
come
you.
on in.
Thanks,
Good to see you guys. Tim,
How you doing?
I'm
Good to see
great.
you.
Now, where did you drive over from?
From Asheville, North Carolina.
I thought, here, let's get up a little closer here so the camera can hear us too. I thought you were in North Carolina.
Yep. Good old North Carolina.
Asheville is beautiful. I used to own a cabin over in Gatlinburg, and I'd take occasional trips over to Asheville.
Very good. I didn't know you'd been over to Tennessee.
I live in Nashville. Yeah.
I remember that.
So, what's been keeping you busy lately?
It's been surprisingly busy with transmitter installs and studio work and all kinds of various broadcast projects.
Now, as far as you know, what might be the oldest station that you take care of or have taken care of as a contract engineer?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Probably something as far back as the 40s.
Okay. All right. So that would be about 80 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Not as old as we're celebrating here today at WSB.
Wow. What do you think is the oldest station in Asheville?
Oh, wow. The probably 30s, late 20s, early 30s would have been at that time WSKY, I believe, one of the very first there. Yes.
And we all have nightmares about that station owner who is so cheap that they're still using the same transmitter from the 1930s.
I think that transmitter survived there until they moved the transmitter site about 5 years ago. Yeah, it was still there. Wasn't in use, but it was still there.
We need to come up with a whole line of jokes. Our station owner is so cheap. How cheap was he? Yeah.
No, it's refreshing though to see, like here at WSB, that they have maintained and kept a lot of the historical components around. It's nice to have it as history, just not try to use it.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, if you see John, come on in. If you see Charles Kinney, would you grab him? He's hard to miss. He's 7'4".
We're not going to miss Charles, and I know. I heard he was here.
Yeah,
he did just walk in. Okay, great. All right. I'll be glad to do that.
I'll get you a coffee mug. You'll go get him.
Kirk, thank you for being part of sponsor.
Tim Neese from Asheville. Take care, Tim.
Thank you.
See ya. Hey, John George, welcome in.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. So, what brings you here today? Duh. What are you doing these days?
Well, still working with RF Specialties, which is the equipment side of our operation and selling broadcast equipment such as Telos and Omnia.
Yeah.
And then I also have Broadtech Services where we do some consulting and contract services for radio stations around the Southeast. So
Okay. So you go visit stations and consult with them.
Yep.
Okay. Fix broken things, huh?
From time to
or
time.
tell them what they need to buy to fix the broken.
You got it. You got it.
That's not worth. See, if your contract engineer also sells equipment, then oftentimes the advice is seriously you need to buy a new one.
That's right. Exactly.
But you're not wrong.
No, but a lot of times, you can repair and take an older piece of equipment, make it good again. But with technology changing so much, most stations you go to, as are woefully behind. With especially in the days of audio over IP and digital transmissions and everything. So
Tim Neese said he's been installing some transmitters lately, and that's good to see people making investments. Do you see any AM transmitters? Is it almost all FM translators? What sizes and shapes?
Well, we're doing mostly FM these days, though I have a couple of AMs that are in process of being manufactured and shipped in the coming months. So people are still looking at their AMs. There are some people that do specialty programming, and that does make a big difference on the AM band these days.
Sure.
Translators is still big. That last wave of translators that applications that were released by the commission now are due to be built out, or they lose those licenses. So we've seen a good number of translators come through the mills as well.
Since you're in the RF world, talk to me a bit about, have you had supply chain issues with copper, as in a transmission line or strap copper, things like that?
Well, strap, the prices on strap have been all over the place. I mean, it's almost a case somebody calls up, needs copper strap, and we'll say we can honor it for 24 to 36 hours. I mean, it's been that crazy.
Yeah.
Transmission line, we've been very fortunate. There have been some shortages, but our company warehouses a lot of transmission lines, so we've been able to fulfill those needs. Transmitters, doesn't matter which manufacturer, it's about 3 months turnaround time just because of supply.
What lines are you representing, or what do you recommend to people?
Well, we have Nautel, and that's our prime line, and of course that covers everything from low power for translators all the way to high power. And of course, they have the AM line as well too, which the NX all the way up to 50 kilowatts.
Okay. And how's HD rollout? Is anything going on there these days?
We still get people who are upgrading to HD. We have kind of two groups: those people who are still supporting HD, and they're buying their second or third wave of HD transmitters. And then we do have people that are making the switch and going HD.
Look who's here.
Yeah.
Hey, John. George,
Pleasure.
It's a pleasure. Say hi to the lovely Eloise.
I will.
I appreciate
Thank you, sir.
you.
Good to see you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Hey, come on in. This is Jim Armstrong, my colleague from Telos.
Nice to see you.
Come on in.
David Wesley.
Hi, David. I'm Kirk.
David's got a little history on WSB, and I thought he could share that with you guys.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. Hi, David. Hey, step up to the camera so
Absolutely.
everybody can hear you good.
Fantastic.
So, David, tell me about how are you associated with the station?
Through my dad. My dad worked with Cox for 29 years. And in fact, I was really curious to see this because my dad was in charge of the radio division when they were putting in the shopping center around this tower. So he was part of the corporate staff. So he would talk about they were doing this and how careful they were having to be as they put it in because they didn't want to damage any of the grounding, which, the engineering folks understand better than anybody.
Yes.
You cannot make a mistake with that and how careful they were in putting all this together. But Dad started working for WSB back in the 50s as a DJ. And he actually, some folks may remember, they were at the Biltmore Hotel in Atlanta.
All right.
And then he was there maybe a year or so, and then they moved to the White Columns headquarters that they had, which was the brick building. Now they've replaced it with a different looking building at the same location.
Right.
So Dad was part of that. He worked for them and both on air for a time, then in sales. Then he went into management and worked at WIOD in Miami.
Really?
He was the general manager there.
Okay.
And then from there, he became the vice president general manager of KFI and KOST. And did that, and then was brought back to the corporate office to be in charge of the radio division. So
this is such a small industry in some ways
is.
because you mentioned WIOD and KFI, and I have good friends who were engineers at both of those stations.
Fantastic people, and great on-air talent as well, people like Loman and Barkley, and of course. You have all these folks that worked. Sally Jesse Raphael worked in Miami, worked for WIOD.
Okay.
And Larry King was at WIOD when my dad was the manager there.
Wow.
So a lot of people. But WSB has always been very important to my family because we have family here. And I still have a secondary home here in the Georgia area. And, we're always listening to the WSB. We're listening to Scott Slade and all of that, and had a chance through the Georgia Radio Hall of Fame, which my dad is a member of, meet so many of the WSB personalities and some of the people that were mentioned. And some of they did a recent article. It was in the paper yesterday and online now. Rodney Ho did about the history of WSB. But Dad worked for Elmo Ellis, who was a legend in the business and a longtime manager of WSB. So it's just a really important part of my family history. And so I was so delighted I got a chance to come out and see this today.
Place, if you would, about the time that this building was built and this project, as you said, here in the shopping center was done.
I believe it was in the early 80s.
Early 80s was my impression.
Yeah. And they built, this was basically just a, cleared area as it always is.
Right. Somebody told me there was a football practice field right next door here.
Right. It was just all, open land for the most part with some fencing to protect the tower situation. And they had a home on the property, which is where one of the engineers lived, because for so many years, as y'all can appreciate, you used to have somebody that had to be at the transmitter site. Right. And the way to do that back in those days was to build a home. And so he had a home out here that engineer did and kept it until all this was put together. And basically a really cool situation. But what happened, obviously, back in the 80s is Atlanta was growing so dramatically. You had the scenario where the developers were very, very interested in the land. And, of course, there was a good bit of it, which you have to have for a tower. So then it became, can you put the two together. And the decision was that you just had to be very careful how you did it. And I thought it was brilliant that they put the round brick fence around it. It matches the center. It looks really good. It protects people from, the wires and all of that kind of thing, and the tower itself. And it protects the tower, which is so extremely important.
It occurred to me a couple days ago when I first heard about this party. The station's 100 years old.
Right.
Started in 1922.
Right.
It's hard to believe that was 100 years ago now, but here we are in 2022. I was born in 1962.
Okay.
So I've been alive for 60% of the station's existence.
Right.
Makes me feel old. You've been around that long.
I've been around. I'm 65, so I was born in 56, and my dad was still working on the air for WSB at that time.
Okay.
And doing that. Wow. And then in the early 60s, about 64, we went down to Miami. He got his transfer down there. So this is, and I would come back all the time because my grandparents lived here and all our family. So we were constantly coming back, and Dad would come up for corporate meetings and that kind of thing. And one of my memories that'll always stick with me is he was up here for a corporate meeting in the old white columns, the brick building with the columns, which I still understand they're out in the garden area of where the current building is. So they've kept a bit of that memory alive.
I have seen part of it. I've been in the new building,
right,
which is built in some fashion around the old building or incorporated it somehow.
Yeah, I think they built it slightly in front of it, if I remember correctly. So because they had to kind of take it down slowly because they were still using parts of it. So they were having to kind of work through
the
that
oil while you're driving down the road. Okay.
Exactly. That's kind of what they were having to do, if I remember correctly. And then the corporate offices, of course, moved out to, at that time, Lake Kern. And I'm not sure where they are now. I think corporate has moved yet again. But I remember I was there with my dad, and they invited me to have lunch with the people he was meeting with. And they had a room that they used to have for Mr. Cox when he visited, when he was alive, obviously, would visit the station. They had kind of a conference room area. And it became kind of a dining room for corporate when they brought in somebody. And so I got to have lunch there with all these great people. And, it made a big impression on me. I was I think my first year of college or something like that at the time. So, just to be sitting there with all these great folks and corporate officers and watch all of this. But I just loved watching the entire thing with WSB, growing up around it and growing up around the business. It was a really cool thing.
And I'm sorry, what is your role in broadcasting now? Are you still doing?
I retired, but I was in radio here. I was with V103. And KISS 104. And then I went into the television side with CW69. And then decided I would finish out my career in Panama City Beach with a Gray station. Of course, Gray is based here, and WJHG Channel 7. And sold for them for a little over 4 years. So I was mostly in the sales end of it. But for a little time, I was a DJ and on the air at WNGC in Athens, which was owned by Randolph Holder for many years until Cox bought it from him.
I knew Cox had stations over there, too.
It's WSB, this station that we're celebrating today's FM signal was the signal I was on before. Cox bought the 95.5 signal. And that was, when I was here, it was WNGC 95.5. And of course, now it's WSB 95.5.
Dave, I've got to get Charles Kinney over here. But before our broadcast is over, you know Charles.
I need to meet.
He's the 7'5" guy out there.
Okay, well, it will be easy.
I'm stuck in front of the camera here. Could you just go wiggle your? Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it very much. Okay, gotcha. All right, we're live at the WSB transmitter site. And yes, I'm a one-man show here, just trying to wrangle guests at the same time as talk to them. Let's take just a minute and talk to you about Broadcasters General Store and the lines that they represent. One of those lines is broadcast tools. Now, if you've been an engineer in broadcasting very long at all, you know broadcast tools. Don Wingett is the founder, owner, designer at Broadcast Tools, and he makes an amazing array of extremely efficient gear. Maybe you've had some of their gear that changes satellite channels on satellite receivers. Maybe you've had a silence sensor or some other kind of remote control gear. Well, Broadcast Tools also makes a small audio console that's perfect for remote situations. It's perfect because it's easy to use. I mean, it's easy even for on-air talent to use. It's the ProMix 4 from Broadcast Tools. The ProMix 4 is a 4-channel mixer with a USB connection on it. So it easily just connects right up to your laptop. There's no drivers to install. Your any modern operating system recognizes this as a USB audio device. And it's got 3 mic inputs plus 1 line input. And the mic inputs can also be line inputs too. You can switch between, and they use those famous Neutrik connectors with 1/4-inch tip ring sleeve and the XLR connectors. Now, it's built for professional use. Unlike a lot of other little mini consoles on the market, this thing is meant, first of all, it's rugged. Second of all, it does have an on-air tally light contact closure for you. It has the USB connection, and it'll connect to accessory modules that give you separate headphone and mute control and mic on-off control for your talent. It does have a mono signal output. And by the way, this console is mono. We want to make it easy for you to use. So it's got all these features, including a built-in limiter. So you can yell at it. Your announcer can get really excited and yell at it, and and it won't distort. The limiter will take effect. So check it out from Broadcast Tools and Broadcaster's General Store. It's the ProMix 4 from Broadcast Tools. This is what you want to have in your kit. That ProMix 4 from Broadcast Tools. Have that in your kit. Take it out on remote. Leave one of the transmitter sites for remote for emergency broadcasting. You know, if the downtown studio, if everybody has to clear out, you've got a mixer at the transmitter site. Put it there. It's going to work great for you. The Broadcast Tools ProMix 4 from Broadcaster's General Store. And you're a big fan.
Big.
Well, you're a big anything. Charles Kinney is here. We're going to have to back up from the camera. Holy great Scott, man. Jiminy, hey, how's the world's tallest remote boy?
The world's tallest remote boy is happy to not be doing a remote today, and I'm thrilled to be here celebrating WSB's 100th birthday. What an unbelievable milestone. I've been here for almost a quarter of its life.
I've been alive for 60% of its life. I couldn't believe it.
It is amazing, and I can't say enough great things about my career here and working for Cox and now Cox Media Group. It's really special to be a part of this.
I haven't said yet, but this is Charles Kinney. What's your title these days?
Director of Engineering
I said world's tallest remote boy. That's not. It's not the title. It doesn't say that on LinkedIn.
But yeah, along with the remotes, I am the Director of Engineering for the Cox Media Group stations in Atlanta and Athens, Georgia, which just happens to include WSB AM 750. Please tune in tonight, and anything east of the Rockies will boom in.
Is there something special tonight happening, or just another night with Skywave?
Another night with Skywave. We hope you tune in every night.
So we've heard a few stories. Paul Barzizza told us a story about Gates Radio and how they're 100 years old. Can you let us in on a story, maybe a 100-year-old story about WSB?
Oh, there's a lot of great WSB stories. Probably my favorite is the radio station is actually the third entity to have the WSB call letters. The original call letters for WSB were on a ship, which used ship-to-shore radio, and that ship sank. So the Commerce Department in those days handled radio because, again, it was all mostly ship-to-shore traffic and not land-based broadcast. So they assigned it to another ship, which caught fire and sank. So after that,
naturally, a radio station wanted the letters.
They decided that they probably should give those call letters to something land-based.
Okay.
But from a personal standpoint, I have to be honest with you. The day that I first got hired and I came out here to do some maintenance, and I was adjusting the controls on the DX50. It was a pretty amazing feeling. I was 29 at the time. Now I'm 51, so I've been here a long time. And being at the controls of WSB is really an amazing feeling. It's the history and the heritage here. It never gets old.
All right, so I got a couple of, not everybody gets to engineer for a 50 kilowatt AM station. Let me ask you about signal and audio what do you try to do to keep to make sure the signal's going where it should, as strong as it should? Like, what are some things that you check or make sure are working right?
Well, the biggest challenge in the case of WSB, which of course is a 50 kilowatt non-D clear channel, is growth around the tower. So power poles, cellular towers, it's a big deal keeping up with that, and sometimes it feels like a full-time job. But that applies to every AM, of course, particularly directionals. But it's a big deal, and the rest of it is just doing the maintenance. We actually had to do a shutdown Sunday morning for Georgia Power maintenance, and so we used that opportunity to go out to the ATU, tighten all the connections, check everything. Okay. I mean, anytime, it's rare when you have off-air time, because off-air time is obviously bad, particularly on a station this big. So when you have it, you've got to maximize it to do everything you can possibly do.
Some stations have a backup tower. I don't see one here.
We do not have a backup tower, so when maintenance is required, it's unfortunately a bad day.
But you take advantage of those maintenance minutes or hours to check things that you can't check otherwise.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right.
And again, just staying on the RF and the modulation in the transmitter, what are things that you just make sure? I mean, if the antenna current's fine, if the modulation's 125 positive, 95 negative, is that pretty much your proxy, your indication?
Sounds good to me. Okay. That's a good day. Yeah. Green light. That means green lights, and green lights are good.
Now, WSB AM is almost all talk, right?
Yes.
So what are your audio processing goals for a talk station?
Well, it's the perennial trade-off of clean versus loud, and I believe that we've had a pretty good success with that. We've got Orbian processors that we really like. Frankly, I think it's one of the best sounding spoken word stations in America.
You're also on an FM station here, what, 95.5?
95.5, yeah.
If you punch between your AM 750 and FM 95.5, what's your audio signature or processing goal between the two stations? And people are not regularly doing that.
It's totally different. Because you're absolutely right. Nobody's A-Bing the two other than people like me. Ironically, the AM sounds sounds louder and fuller because the bandwidth is squashed and it's spoken word, whereas the FM is much more open. But it's two different styles of processing.
And you could make the FM sound like the AM, but why would you?
That would defeat the purpose. Yeah. That would totally defeat the purpose.
I'm guessing that, the AM has a sound, and perhaps it's a little fatiguing, but all AM stations, are that way. But on FM, you can probably kind of let things open up and be more long-term listenable.
That's exactly right. And the AM, we've actually done a really good job. It's very clean, yeah. And from a fatigue standpoint, before we added the FM, we really didn't have too many issues with that.
Yeah. Well, being here at this site, we've mentioned several times we're in the middle of a shopping center. Do you have any long-term concerns about the buildings and grounds, and are there plans for more stuff around the shopping center? How do you maintain that over the next, 51 for another 14 years?
I'm thinking it's a concern every day of my life. The Cox family still owns the land that the shopping center is on, which helps us, even though the Cox family no longer owns WSB, there's still a great relationship there. And so we do have some leverage, but anytime there's construction going on, it causes my hair to stand up. So it's a big deal.
When I was talking to David a few minutes ago about when they built this here, how did they get the two to? I'm thinking, this is like building an airport next to a missile range. There's some careful things you got to worry about.
And ironically, we actually have to deal with the airport.
PDK?
This tower is on the approach to Peachtree DeKalb Airport, and they are quite picky if there's a tower light issue. And of course, they make me nervous because of the height that they fly over our 650-foot tower.
Yeah.
Or half wave at 740.
Yeah.
As the tower was built back before the frequency shift in 1941.
Oh, so you were at 740?
We were at 740. Originally, we went on the air at we were allowed to run at 833 kilohertz for music, or not necessarily music, but entertainment.
Right.
And I believe it was 620 for news and weather.
Isn't that crazy?
And how they expected people to change the transmitters around, it was bizarre. But
So I did see that instrument of authorization, the telegram. Saw that today, used it as purloined it as promotion for this show that we're doing right now. And yeah, what was any idea why the rules were like that? That if you're going to transmit, and you couldn't transmit some kind of financial data, weather you could do, news maybe
Right.
you could do.
So I think in those days it was truly in the infancy of broadcasting, and they weren't exactly sure what to do with it. I mean, in the very beginning, of course, they were giving their product away for free, and literally no one got paid who was on WSB, because they would put anyone who could sing, whistle, or hum in front of a microphone to fill programming slots.
Yeah.
It just
like this show.
But it was amazing. I mean, there was it was just a new fad, and WSB originally their engineers would get together with ham radio guys and do classes on how to build crystal receivers.
Oh,
Because radio, if you wanted a big fancy radio, nobody else like buying a car, but anybody could build a crystal set, and did. And that was a huge deal in the very early days. I mean, it was 1922. So,
Charles, congratulations on 100 years. Congratulations on being a part of it here. And getting together with Gates Air for their 100. Smart move.
indeed, they've been a great partner over the years, and I can't say enough good things about their RF products.
I wonder if there's any food left out there. We're past time. Yeah, we're 10 minutes past time now.
There's always a good party at the WSB AM Tower.
Okay, good deal. Charles, thanks a lot. Appreciate you. Take care. I'll be out in a few minutes. This Week in Radio Tech is brought to you in part by our friends at Angry Audio, and I brought a couple of items here with me, but the best place to go is to their website. I've got some of these Studio Hub adapters, and my friend there, Mike Dosh at Angry Audio, he has designed, and he's brought other people in to design some really cool products for your broadcast facility. And even if you're a podcaster, if you're a content creator, if you're a TV station, if you're a radio station, if you just run a recording studio, so many things that they have at Angry Audio will help you in the construction, operation, wiring of your studio. From the adapters, of course, the adapter cables and little adapter modules, and but also headphone amplifiers and world panels, so you can put a world panel in your studio and get audio in and out. The Bluetooth gadget is a terrific thing. The fail-safe gadget, the button gizmo, the mic tally gizmo, that headphone gizmo, as I mentioned. Even the Call Me codec family is pretty cool. And their new product, the headphone disconnector, so you won't have any more broken headphone jacks because it uses a connector like a MagSafe that disconnects when you pull on it. You need to go to angryaudio.com and look at their catalog. You can download a PDF. You can also look at the huge range of Studio Hub adapters there. Pick out what you need for your studio build. Hey, you may seriously never have to solder another connector again. I have built studios where I was able to do everything, and then I forgot one Studio Hub adapter and had to whip out the soldering iron. And, it tastes like chicken. It smells like chicken when you burn yourself on the soldering iron. Check it out, angryaudio.com, and you can get Angry Audio products, including those Studio Hub products, at almost any broadcast dealer. Angry Audio, thanks for sponsoring This Week in Radio Tech. Jim, you want to wrap things up for us? We're just about to finish the show.
If you had any other folks here that you needed people to fill time with, so I figured I'd come in and
Well, you're here, and I've been stuck in here. Is there any food left?
There's plenty of food left. Plenty of barbecue from Mooney's in, I want to say Gainesville, but it's not. It's a Flowery Branch, Georgia.
Ah, okay.
So they're known for their Texas barbecue here in Georgia.
We're glad you're here and help sponsor this and put it together.
It's a fun time. WSB has been around for so long, and as a guy that lives in the market, I rely on WSB to keep us informed and just provide some local programming that you don't really get anywhere else. So thanks to WSB, and happy anniversary and happy birthday.
And for me too, happy anniversary, happy birthday. Let's see, I've been around for 60 of WSB's 100 years. That's a little bit more than you've been.
Just a few, 57 for me. And again, for most of my time, it was WBZ in Boston. That was my 3 call letter station of my youth. And when I did my first traffic report on WBZ, my dad thought that I had made it.
Sure.
Right? Did he realize I was making $8.25 an hour, and on a Saturday morning, it didn't matter. It was all there. So WSB really kind of hits home for us now because it's the station that is most like what I grew up with, and they just do such a great job. So we've been here plenty of times. This is probably my fourth event here at this transmitter site. I'm usually cooking. I've usually got a grill outside, whether I'm flipping burgers or Italian sausages or whatever. And this year we were fortunate enough, it was early in the year in March, that we were able to just get a caterer.
Jim, usually I do this show from the Telos Alliance studio in Nashville, Tennessee. And we got 2 Telos Alliance logos here. 3 if I open my jacket.
4 if I open mine.
Well, here we are at the Telos Alliance studio in Atlanta, Georgia.
I will go no further. It's just the shirt and the top.
Did you get the underwear from the marketing people?
The senator from Georgia can either confirm or deny any such thing.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Appreciate you. Well, it's time for us to say goodbye. So thanks for joining us live today from the WSB transmitter site. Congratulations on their 100 years of broadcasting here at WSB in Atlanta. I'm sure we'll have more of those. We already have had some more across the country. We'll see you. Oh, thanks to Suncast for keeping up with my moves in this show. Good luck to Chris Tarr, who is putting in a transmitter today, I think, somewhere in Wisconsin. And we'll see you next week on This Week in Radio Tech. Bye-bye.